In today's video, Robert's going to take us through the use of the Treadman tool on a stair tread install. My name is Mike Keller, Director of Learning and Development here with the Jack Laurie Group, where our goal is to get you the knowledge and skills you need to be successful in your role. Stick around to the end of this video and we'll show you all the tools you're going to need for a successful stair tread installation.
I'm going to go ahead and make myself 3 spacers, a 1/4 inch wide, to fit inside the Treadman to act as my front nose spacing for my depth setting. So I'm just going to, I got a spare piece I just cut off, or you might have a scrap that you have, but you need about 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to cut the nose, give myself about a 1/2 inch past the corner of the nose there. I'm going to cut it off, and then I'm just going to cut 1/4 inch strips all the way down the nose to act as my spacers. And you want 3 of them. And there's my 3 spacers. So there's 9 different adjustments on this step, or on this Treadman stair tool. You'll see a series of knobs. There's a total of 9 knobs, 1 adjustable knob here on top. I've got my spacers that I've already cut. They go down in each one of these holes, and you'll see they just kind of sit in there right over the top. I haven't tightened this one yet. This one will be tight already. We don't need to make any adjustments on this one. So this one just kind of stays tight here as it is. So I've placed all my spacers in. So now we're going to start with adjustment number 1, which is up here on the top for the Treadman. So this red handle comes up, and you can see that's up off of the guide down here. So what's going to happen with that is I'm going to be able to expand it out. I'm going to push it all the way forward so my spacers are touching, and I'm going to expand it to where it's tight against the sides. See how it goes tight to each side? It's spring loaded here, so it's going to have a little play to it. It's going to be able to flex. So I make sure I'm good and tight, push and lock the lever down, and that's going to hold it in place. As you can see here, it's got the tape measure on it as well. That tape measure is accurate, so you can use that tape measure as well. So now on my face here, I have 2 adjustments that I can make now to get my front nosing adjusted to my stringer. So starting on the right side, I'm just going to make sure that I push it tight all the way up against the side. I'm going to tighten the knob. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to make sure it's pushed all the way tight up against the stringer, and I'm going to tighten the knob. So now I'm just going to make sure I'm still good and tight, and now I'm going to start with the 3 adjustments on each side, going through one at a time. So as you see, there's 3 adjustments, 3 knobs. That's going to set my stringer side and then my depth for the back. So starting with each one, they're all loosened up. So you want to start with them loose. They all have separate handles to move them, and they all move separately. So now that I've got my first one, I've got it pushed out. It's spring loaded. The first one is, as I check it, it's tight up against the side and where I like it. I'm going to go ahead and tighten the first knob. Then I'm going to move on to the second one, so one at a time. I'm going to adjust this one with the handle to where I like it and make sure it's still tight up against the side. And I'm going to go ahead and adjust the second knob to tighten it down. Then the third one, I want to make sure that it is all the way up against the side and pushed all the way to the back. See how it's all flush and squared there? Once I get it to where I like it, I'm going to go ahead and tighten that one down as well. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Exact same way. First one, make sure it's exactly where I like it. I'm going to tighten it down. I'm going to adjust the second one, nice and tight to where I like it. Tighten it down. Third one is going to be to the side and to the back. And I'm going to tighten it down to where I like it. And my Treadman is set and ready to cut. Now we're ready to make our cuts. The first thing we're going to do is make sure we line up our dots for our pattern. And that becomes real easy with this because then I can just find hey, this is the middle, that's where I like it. I'm lining everything up. But you have to make sure you pull your spacers out. So I'm just going to make sure I'm tight up against the front. I'm going to line up my dots where I like them. Make sure everything's in place. And then I'm going to begin my cutting. So first I'm going to start at the outside edge, and I'm just going to make a score along the side, following that line all the way down the front. If I have any marks to make in the back, I'm going to score the back for my depth. Then I'm going to come to the other side and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to run a score line down the nose, and then I'm going to make my score line in the back if I have any. Then I can remove my Treadman and finish my cuts. I like to bend mine a little bit so I can get in the groove. And I'm just going to finish the cut all the way through, and you might have to score it a couple times.
Or you could score with the Stanley blade once and use a hook blade.
Yep, exactly. Then you can cut it with your hook blade if you feel comfortable with that. And then when you get done with your edge, you also want to kind of trim it back a little bit, create a bevel there. So we've trimmed that off. We'll go ahead and trim the other side now. Bend it a little bit so it is moved. And for this side, I'll use the hook knife just so we can see that as well. Just going to take our hook knife. It doesn't take a lot of pressure. We're just going to let it kind of glide through there. Down the front. One more time. Then we're through, and then we're just going to go through with our straight knife. Make sure that we've got our bevel cut there and everything is nice and smooth on that side. And that is it, and it's time to fit our stair tread. As you can see, we're going to put it nose first, kind of let it fall into place to make sure it fits nice and tight. Press everything into place, make sure we're back really nice. And we have all the spacing we want all the way around. I've lined it up and it fits perfect.